Hey guys, we didn't start exactly. We're working through some technical issues, so hang out for a bit. I apologize. Chat's open, and we'll figure it out. So hold on.
Try this again.
I think that's better. Can you hear me?
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, maybe do me a favor and kind of turn off video for a second and see if the sound catches is better. Oh, well. Yeah. It's really not there. Trying to think.
Computer?
It's like this. Okay. Hey, we're figuring it out. Thanks for your patience. Internet, chat's open. Let's see what we got. Hey, Prism, how you doing, sir? Purple Onion, hey, how you doing? We're gonna have some fun today, I think. So let us just work through just a couple issues, and then we'll edit the stream on YouTube so it looks like everything's golden. But appreciate you coming. Oh, isn't California supposed to be really cold? Isn't there like a winter storm? I think like LA is getting snow or something crazy. I do have Cat Grumpy. The big drama right this second is landscapers. Hey, Surf City. I don't know, Adam. Oh yeah, I think a little bit better.
Okay, I switched to a computer, so
this is amazing. Yeah, way better. What were you using, an iPad or something before?
Yeah, I was just using an iPad.
Dude, we had a biggest moment in our company's history at the time. We had a deal with like Magic Eden, and we did a live stream with them.
Okay.
And my laptop shorted out like 3 minutes before, and I used an iPad for the video stream. And I thought I was like the most brilliant guy in the world, just talking, and people were getting every third word.
Oh, that's such a shame. Yeah, sorry about that. It's I have tons of devices in my house. I have PCs, gaming PCs, laptops, Apples, and all of that stuff. And it's just it's a lazy thing. It's like, let me just plug something in and then I'm good to go.
Yeah, I know from painful experience that I thought the iPad was golden, and then I found out later, oh yeah, Joey, like we couldn't hear you. So and Adam, we're kind of on the air hanging out. You can kind of see chat.
I see Surf City and Prism.
Yeah,
hello.
Prism. We also got Purple Onion. Prism is like super genius, mad scientist. Like love that guy. And I don't know. I don't think I know Purple Onion and Surf City Kongs. I don't know, but mahalo, bro, giving us the. So yeah, let's just kind of get started if you don't mind.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, who are you? Like this is like we're 5 minutes into our personal relationship, and we got all these people looking at us. Who are you?
Yeah, so my name is Adam Fortier. I've been in comics publishing, which is probably where you want me to start, as opposed to, conception. I've been here for about 25 years. The very first comic book that I ever made was the Transformers comic book from a company called Dreamwave. And just frankly never turned back since. So as I said, I've been doing it for 25 years. I've worked for Boom Studios, I've worked for IDW, I've worked for Titan, I've worked for Dynamite, I've worked for Dark Horse, I've worked for Marvel. I kind of worked for everybody, and I'm somewhat uniquely positioned in the industry because I have no talent whatsoever. But I'm comfortable having no talent. I do not want to be a creative person. And so the business aspect of it is what fascinates me, and the publisher aspect and all the little minutia of printing and distributing and packaging and selling is fascinating to me.
Yeah. you mentioned Transformers. God, there was a guy who bought up the licenses to all these old Hasbro type toys. God, what was his name? I forget. I'll remember it. He's like the movie guy. Anyways, in my history, I used to work on a website called Ain't It Cool News,
I know
which
Ain't It
was
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. The design I did 15 years ago is still the design that's up today.
Nice.
And there's a whole drama on that side, but I just remember having fights with the guy who owns the IP for Transformers and all these like G.I. Joe and just weird, offshoot brands that he like. Mr. Potato. Can't wait for the Mr. Potato live action movie. All right, I digress. I was just really trying to sneak in that I got some Ain't It Cool News geek cred.
You got some cred, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So comics, no talent. We're like brothers all of a sudden. Like I've got zero talent. I just like to. I'm nosy. Is pretty much like what. So traditional comic book publishing, like what makes the jump to digital? Like, have you ever was there ever a digital comic book thing before NFT showed up?
Yeah. So there was, and just to get a little bit esoteric for me, I actually went to university for theoretical mathematics and paid for my education with programming. So computer programming math always made sense to me, and it was very easy. So I worked on the Y2K problem. I started when the internet started. So I definitely had some abilities there, but I just comic books just kept on calling me. So the entire time that I'm in comic books, I'm often bringing technology along with me. I developed a reader for HarperCollins for digital comics. Comixology is definitely a factor for digital reading. And so the inherent limitations for those, of course, are that you don't get to own anything digitally. And so digital comics were very appealing to me because comic collecting inherently is about owning something. I don't want to rent a comic. I don't want to borrow a comic. There are absolutely people who go to libraries and read comics, but let's be honest, we look at them kind of funny. So digital comics where you actually get to own your comic, you get to collect it, you get to cherish it, was super appealing to me. And so that's basically NFTs.
100%. I had a gig where I worked in digital baseball cards, and we literally would take, you would open up a digital pack, and your cards would play another guy's cards, and you would get, some sort of game experience and a scoring, and you would lead leagues, and it was a whole thing. And that's NFTs, 15 years ago. All right, so how did you make the leap into NFTs? Like for me, it was NBA Top Shot. That was the thing where lights went off and like, oh, I get it. Like, what was your first buy that you could talk about and proud of?
So I conceptualized back before it was cool. I'll have you add the idea of connecting physical collectibles with digital. One of the saddest things for me is that if you collect comic books nowadays, you probably have slabbed comics, which means you don't get to read them. And that's absurd to me. The concept of a comic book is to be, read, and we no longer read comics. I remember having a conversation with somebody recently where I was like, they've owned an Incredible Hulk 181 for like 10 years. And I'm like, yes, but do you know what it looks like? And he's like, well, I read the facsimile. And I'm like, it's not the same, man.
Yeah.
Like, not by any stretch. And so I really wanted to do that in an authentic manner. I am enough of a purist and a nerd where I've read an original Detective Comics 27. I've read an original Adventure 40, Marvel Comics 1, Amazing Fantasy 15, all of that stuff. And back then they used a special printing process. The colloquial term is usually Ben-Day dots, but that was created for newsprint in the late 1800s. They actually invented something new for comics, but there was somebody whose job it was to try and figure out how, when you put ink on a paper and it bled into the paper, what color combinations it would do. And so when you see Liechtensteins now, from the 1950s, they have the dots and everything. And that's from comic books. And so whenever you read a facsimile now, what's happened is both Marvel and DC couldn't store all of these metal plates, and then they couldn't store the negatives from the printing, and so they've actually redrawn and recolored all of their old stuff.
Oh no.
And so when you are reading, Marvel Masterworks X-Men #1, you're reading somebody's redoing of the original artwork.
Sure.
And so with NFTs, it's like there's an idea of provenance. There's an idea of appreciating the original. And so I was like, yeah, like this is my jam. Like, these people will get it. Whereas you do that you have this conversation in the comic book world now. They're like, so I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, you should. You
Right.
should care. Like somebody redrew the Mona Lisa and said, it's the same.
Right. I've got all these. I have digital versions of all these, and those are the ones my kids read. But I can pull these off the wall. Like these are precious to my childhood, but I'm not protecting them from UV light. Like, yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to retire on, Secret Wars issue 1. So what was there a one particular NFT that I know you get the nerd side, so you're early adopter, you're playing around already, but was there one that you're like, these guys get it too, these are part of my tribe?
So my real I was brought into NFTs probably by a gentleman named Dom Hoffman, who he created Loot, Blitmap, and was one of the original Nounders.
Oh wow.
I was just surfing Twitter, and he posted basically a D&D question. And so I reached out to him, and we started talking. And then at one point in time, he was like, "Hey, like you make comic books, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Could you make me a comic book?" And that's actually how I started working for NFT companies.
I see.
So just to embarrass myself in public, I don't own any NFTs. And I have particular NFTs that I'm definitely going to want, but I've decided that I want to earn all the NFTs. And so I'm working on various NFT projects. And to me, the idea that I could be paid as, compensation in some manner with the NFTs will make it, that much more appealing than just kind of like randomly plugging a credit card in and buying a few.
Oh, now you got me. I have a follow-up, sir. Are NFTs precious? Like to me, it's about consuming, right? I want to get through these 32 pages, however many pages there are, and go on this adventure and learn these characters. And then I'm okay. It's disposable, but like you're kind of they're more precious to you. They're collectible in a bigger sense.
They absolutely are. And I've been collecting comics since I was in single digit numbers.
Sure.
And I really started collecting comics when I was like 15. I went out and I bought an X-Men 94 in near mint shape, when I was 15 years old.
Okay.
It's one of the first biggest purchases. And I want to say I paid $200 for probably what was a 9.6 or 9.8.
Okay.
So I understand the idea of collecting and cherishing and everything like that, but inherently comic books have value because they were created to be disposable. When we started shifting from comic books from something that was disposable and just enjoyed by all to something that was inherently collectible, what we found is the value isn't there. And so it doesn't mean in certain cases, but the most valuable comic books right now from the last probably 10, 15 years are the Walking Dead, which was a black and white, zombie thing. And it wasn't meant to be cherished. It was meant to just be, ingested. Something is Killing the Children from Boom Studios. Going back a little bit older, Bone. Sandman, like these are done on not high quality paper. Like at the same time, man, I'm sorry, I just keep on going on these things. But at the same time that Sandman is being printed on newsprint, in order to keep the price down, X-Men has made the move to glossy paper so that they can raise the price point. And the idea is you will get a better conditioned copy. Now, what would you rather own now? A complete run of Sandman or a complete run of Jim Lee's X-Men?
I think I have all four, the X-Men ones.
Maybe you're not the one to talk to. I'd rather have Sandman. Thank
I
you very
guess
much.
no, I totally like, and those are worth like $5. You know, like it's this, if that.
Mhm.
So because they just overprinted and you know you put them in cereal boxes, and yeah, they didn't have their uh, exclusivity scarcity. That was just paper the world with
Yeah.
comic books. I get it. No, I totally get it. The okay. Uh, so you've mentioned, like, I don't know enough about the Nouns project. I know that every day we get a character with sunglasses. I get that. I've
Mhm.
talked to some of the anonymous guys that put in proposals and get
Mhm.
awarded, and they go build stuff, which is like, that's a job from the year 2050. Like, I don't even understand that. Um,
Mhm.
how did you get so? How did you get involved with the Nouns folks? You said this Mr. Hoffman brought you in. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the Nounders, and so he
Okay.
kind of pointed me in the direction and said, "Hey, do you see anything of value there?" And I really liked the aesthetic. I liked the design, but I loved the attitude of the entire community.
Hmm.
Um, I love comic books, but I've had some terrible experiences with people both in comic books and enjoyers of comic books.
Hmm.
I have had literal death threats over, my handling of certain characters that, I've been working on. And it can become very toxic. And so this community was just like very positive and very open. And I'm not saying it's that way all the time. And definitely kind of the more people that get into it, the more you can see it, having certain elements of negativity. But at the end of the day, like they want to do cool things. And they're like, didn't work, great, let's try another thing.
Yeah.
And they just don't have that inherent built-in negativity that I think like a lot of us do.
You're preaching to the choir. Like I mentioned, ain't it cool news? If you've ever been into the talk back, like,
Yeah.
that's the pit of evil.
Yeah.
And you know, telephone tough guys, but just typing comment horrible. But also there's some amazing, in my personal experience, we found a kind of a group. They were called like the Phantom Zone group. It was a whole long story that one of these days I'll write down. But discovered essentially a tribe within this pit of horribleness of
Mhm.
people who actually care and actually were curious and wanted to talk about comics or movies or what have you. And we kind of built a little offshoot, and it was just
Mhm.
paradise.
Yeah.
Once you find like the right people, and we've all agreed that nobody's going to be a complete jerk. Temporary jerkness is fun, but full on is just a nightmare. And it's amazing. Even these giant communities that kind of trend towards nastiness, there are wonderful humans inside that you can go uncover.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, some of that nastiness, like I understand, like that nastiness comes from passion. It's not
Yeah.
because you are built to be a horrible human being. It's because you love something so unreservedly and it is, so prominent in your life that you feel nothing but anger for the people that are disrespecting it.
Right.
So, like I generally don't take that kind of thing personally. I also do not read comics on the internet. I do not have a Facebook account. I had to get a Twitter account because of ComicsDAO, and ComicsDAO is the only Twitter account because I'm like, if I want you to get a hold of me, you know how to get a hold of me.
That's you're living the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like a rich person move. Not existing in social media. Like
It's I prefer to think of it as a healthy person move. Yeah.
I wish I was as smart as you. Yeah, like that's it is interesting. Okay, so now this I'm curious about, like, so you work on these projects. I think you guys had some proposal or
Yeah.
something recently. I don't know what that even means.
So we had two proposals. The first proposal was in August of 2022, and it was for the creation of the comic book. So what we did was we went to the DAO. I created a detailed document that was kind of like, this is how much it's going to cost. This is what we're going to do. This is the process we're going to use. This is the output. And that was approved. And so basically, they gave us the go ahead to do it as well as the funds to do it. The second proposal was for an additional purchase due to what we believe to be low supply versus demand. And that wasn't approved. Definitely, I think that there were errors with how I wrote the proposal and how the proposal was presented. But, it doesn't actually affect the outcome. We're still going to be in San Diego. We're still going to be in New York Comic Con. We're still going to be in comic book stores. April 28th is when the first one comes out. So,
what is this? I don't know what it's going to be called. Noun something or another.
Yeah, it's Noun Town. It's a 6-issue limited series. It's coming out of Titan Publishing. And so, go to your comic book store, tell them to order it for you. It's in Previews Magazine right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's actually going to be the first mass market release based upon a Web3 project.
I'm doing some Googling. I don't know. I'm going Titan Comics magazines. Am I allowed to show stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let me, if you don't mind, I'm gonna maybe share a screen. Let me see what I'm doing here. So I don't. Is this what we're talking about?
Yep.
All right, so it's the cover. Like, do you have to go find artist Danny Schlitz? So you have to go find Danny, or you already had him in the Rolodex?
I knew Danny from a previous project, but I was very lucky that he was able to work on this. So Danny is going to be the artist of record for the entire 6-issue series. That is half of the cover. It's actually a wraparound cover. And one of the fun things that we're doing, because again, we're allowed to do just weird things, is all 6 of the covers combine to form one gigantic image, because I loved when they used to do that. Right? Right?
Yeah, I love it. I have it. Yeah, I love that very much. Oh, that's great. I was almost thinking like the back of Mad Magazine where you fold it and there's another image. So that's all right. So April is April when I can go to the comic book store and go buy it?
Yeah. I believe it's April 28th is when it's going to be on shelves in comic book stores.
Dude, how great is that? Like, that's amazing. All right.
I loved the old, because you're somebody who will understand this. I loved the handbook to the Marvel Universe, where they did like the 26 ones. They were wrap around and they all combined to form one gigantic.
I got them downstairs under the stairs right now. I will pull it out. I think I'm pretty complete on that one.
Yeah, this is, as Prism was saying, this is actually all the nouns that were minted in the first half year of existence. Ooh. So the first 175 nouns that were created all appear on this cover.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. All right, so I'm going to see if I can get this cover. Let me see if I can open it up as a standalone image. Okay, so people own these characters. What's the right word to use? Characters? Are they avatars? Are they?
I think characters in relation to this project. They have personalities and everything.
And do you have to talk to the owners of these to say, "Hey, we're"?
No, this is. I'm not going to say it's entirely unique, but this is one of the more different. This is what's called CC0, which means it's essentially public domain, and so we don't actually have to ask anybody's permission for anything. The really crazy thing is this comic book is also CC0, which means if you like the story and you want to take that story and just do another 6 issues, you're allowed to.
Me off the street or me as holder?
You off the street.
Oh,
anybody can do it. Anybody in the world. It is public domain, so there is no ownership to this artwork, these stories, the whole thing.
Now that's bananas unique, right? Like
it is.
Right? Because everybody else holds. You can't put Captain America's shield on a lunchbox without having to write a giant check.
Yeah, so there's different kind of like rules and regulations to all of that stuff. There's stuff that has entered the public domain, such as Alice in Wonderland, because it's expired. CC0 Prism. And in this case, it's something that you specifically say, I will not protect my copyright on.
Amazing. But the nouns that are being used, they conceivably become worth more because they're famous. There's part of this.
Yeah. The better the comic series does, the more attention nouns gets, the more valuable nouns become, for sure.
So we worked. Do you have a handle on what Darkblock, what our company kind of does? Or
I have a basic understanding. I haven't done a deep dive.
All good. It's funny. We've spent forever trying to craft whatever that beautiful elevator pitch is, and how can I get mom to understand, and all these kinds of things. And I was in Miami, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and this guy I was talking to, he goes, "Oh yeah, it's like Google Drive for NFTs," and it's like, oh, that's almost good enough, like, but it hurts my that just you said it while you're holding a beer and we're talking.
Yeah.
So yeah, the idea is that like the comic book that you're going to distribute, you're going to print, you're going to put it in a physical place, but all those holders, I'm not speaking out of school, but it'd be awesome. All those holders should also, I would guess, get a comic, maybe, question mark. I'm not the business guy, but what we offer up with the block is the ability that a collection can be upgraded, and all those holders get the PDF version. So
that one of the reasons why I had such a fun Twitter space with your partner, I guess, at Darkblock, was that
Cryptomachia, yes sir.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not sure of the position, I don't know, but
he's like marketing guru. Like we're relatively small, so everybody takes out the trash and picks up.
It was that one of my initial ideas of why I wanted to get into Web3 was to scan the physical comics so that they can have a digital image, so that you could enjoy the original editions without having to worry about damaging them. And so the idea of having a physical comic, but something that you can also read digitally so that you can preserve the physical comic, is exactly what I'm doing here.
Oh, can I? Do you mind if I do show and tell of like another comic book project? I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm just. So the guys.
Yeah, you are a bit delayed right now,
Joey. I'm a bit delayed. I'm working on it. I'm sorry. Maybe I got
no problem.
Too many windows open? Question mark. It's the Omega Runners, folks. A bunch of Hollywood type people. Where I don't understand that world, and it's amazing to me. But they came up with their own comic book, and essentially all holders of the NFT that they sold out. Here, I'm waiting, signing, searching my owner of this particular NFT, and then essentially using our Darkblock tech, they're distributing their comics. Let me close that. Distributing the comics via the NFT.
Mm-hmm.
So I of course picked the big giant one, but here it takes a second for it to down. But yeah, essentially distributing that PDF, and you got to find the right, optimal file size.
Yeah.
But this file is coming from cold storage in Arweave, where there'll be 200 plus years of storage that you don't have to worry about paying for, and it'll probably be forever once 200 years hits. And then the idea is that only the NFT owner can open up, and only the holders get distributed.
It's some nice artwork there too.
They are building a fun universe. I enjoy it greatly. I'm waiting for issue number 3. They're killing me. Succession and Omega Runners issue I'm waiting for. They keep me alive. Have me waking up in the morning. All right, so would you, like with the Nouns project, you distribute this comic book, but would you have to put it in another proposal to be able to distribute, the issues to holders, or I'm just curious.
No, you want to do this, you get to do this.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you this right now. Like, Darkblock wants to do this. This is a CC0 project, which means when I publish the issues, I'm actually going to be posting the high-res files on the internet as well. And so you could literally just go download those and create something for the Nouns community.
That's amazing. Is there a run? Are we talking like there's 10 issues like
6 issues right now? Yeah, 6 issues.
Okay. And they've already been written, so you hire. Oh, I saw the name, but it escapes me now. The writer,
Danny Schlitz and David Manley Leach.
Okay. And you're kind of like producer guy. You put it all together.
Is kind of like a producer for books. So I definitely, yeah.
I mean, what a job. Like it's
Yeah, it doesn't suck.
okay. Let's see. Comic book sample. I want to help. Yeah. Our man Prism is kind of. He's got a really incredible kind of plug-in. I don't know what the right word is. Prism. I will marry you and Adam, and then
Mhm.
maybe you can do show and tell. But the idea is like you do page 1, page 2 of a comic, and then page 3 on you got to go pay for or buy the NFT or whatever. So it's kind of that sampler. I try to remember, growing up, when you go on road trips to California, and like at the Stuckies, they would sell comic book 3-packs. It was
Yep.
like the Lone Ranger, and then somebody else, Star Trek, and then some weird one in the
Yeah,
middle.
it was Whitman. Whitman Comics did those.
Yeah.
There's
So
one of the rarest Uncle Scrooge comics is because through a print and distribution error, you could only find that comic book in a Whitman 3-pack.
ooh.
Yeah. So
I didn't even know that was a thing. I remember I've got some downstairs.
I have esoteric news. I can tell you the individual one because otherwise I'm going to be a terrible human being. There you go.
I love that we have the same level of mental illness with some of this stuff. It's great.
There you go, Uncle Scrooge. And all you have to do is look for like the really high, 179. So it's like they're like, hey, 30, $50, $1,000. It's like, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Holy smokes. I gotta go downstairs. I'm gonna have send one of my kids down. Have you seen what DC Comics has been doing with NFTs?
Yes.
Oh, so that they were out here. I'm in Austin, so they were at South by Southwest. They set up a huge pop-up store. It was beautiful. They had the new Batmobile in an alley, just parked, and then they were essentially giving you physical card packs. You pop them open, and then you claim with a QR code on the back. They claim with a QR code on the back the digital version, the NFT version.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with that stuff. There's going to be a real blurring of the physical and digital soon. Just to give my 2 cents on that, though, the big companies are really trying to rewrite certain laws in order to kind of give themselves a little bit more power, and I don't love that. And the example that I'll give you is right now, if you want a digital version of your movie, you've got to buy a DVD plus you've got to buy a digital edition. They love that. They get paid twice.
Right.
But fundamentally, if you buy a copy of something, you should be able to enjoy that copy wherever you do. You're not going to buy a comic book in a comic book store if the comic book store says, well, you've got to keep the comic here. You can only read it here, and you've got to give us at least 48 hours notice before we let you read it. You would never agree to something like that. Yet digitally, we agree to all sorts of these things. We pay perpetual royalties to these companies right now when we don't pay physical royalties, not only because you can't do it, but also because for literally hundreds of years, people have been like, yeah, no, you're not supposed to do that. And so they're trying to get in front of the cart before the horse, but they're trying to, get out of the gate before everybody else does. So they can say, well, this is what's normal and this is what the future is going to be. And so I'm actually kind of fighting against that. And I'm saying, no, like the NFTs should be able to give you the exact same experience that a physical item gives you. You don't have limitations on where you're allowed to buy something physically. You don't have limitations on where you're allowed to sell something physically.
Right.
You don't have limitations on where you're allowed to enjoy something physically. So to me, the ultimate case for NFTs is, can I duplicate that experience?
The thing that I say, and I say it too much and people have heard me, but owning a copy of Star Wars, we've had it in all these different media formats, and today we subscribe. I pay $20 a month to have access to Empire Strikes Back these days. And it didn't get and if I don't pay the bill, I lose that, and that's different. And sure, that's a great gig to have if you're a company that just rents out IP all the time. But I do think one of the beauties of the NFT kind of revolution, once you kind of get past crypto bros and flipping and all that crap, it's that consuming and owning. Like there are things that I just love and want to read over. like Richie Rich comic books. This is a
Come on.
God dang. I've got them all. Like, it's just a bad problem of mine. And it was just maybe the Alex P. Keaton greed of the 80s. Me growing up being a 12-year-old Republican who just wanted to make money. And those Richie Riches kind of fulfilled some of those dreams. And that's comfort food. I don't care what they're worth. I don't care that the cover's ripped. It's just, but I do own them and they're mine. But I don't own a lot of digital stuff in that same way as far as content goes.
You're not allowed to.
Of course, it's a great gig if you can get it to set those rules. But I'm hoping that the NFT kind of world breaks some of that, and that I can have digital scarcity, and then I can have digital ownership, and there's no FANG company between me and my NFT content. I don't have to say pretty please.
Well, this is where I wanted to do this stuff, because I am legally allowed to scan a copy of X-Men #1. That's personal use exemption and copyright law. You're allowed to do that. The limitation is I am not allowed to just put that on the internet for everybody to read. But if there is a way to ensure that only the owner of the X-Men #1, whether it be me or somebody else, can read it, suddenly that's perfectly legal.
Yeah.
So I could go out, I could buy 100,000 copies of X-Men #1, I could scan them, I could sell them digitally, and Marvel has no say in it. Disney has no say in it. Nobody has any say in it. And then it can be, do with it as you will.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, read it, destroy it, flip it, do whatever you want with it. Now, that's a little bit of an aggressive approach, 100,000 copies of X-Men #1, but I want to start small.
Yeah.
The first book that I actually scanned was a Donald Duck book, 4-color 408, I want to say.
Okay.
I'm actually now currently going through the run of X-Men 1 to 200 to scan them all up.
Oh, wow.
The original editions, of course. And I'm going to figure out what I want to do with that. We've talked about building a digital comics library so that, you could actually get a membership and you could go in and read an X-Men #1.
Yep.
Or #2, #3, which would be an experience that you couldn't get otherwise. Or maybe it's just a matter of selling these to people. I don't know what exactly we're going to do, but I definitely appreciate the idea of owning something and having your own determination for whatever you can do with it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think like Star Wars is a really great example in that, it was like 30 years George Lucas, kept on rewriting Star Wars and wouldn't allow us to get the version that we loved. He was like, that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
I'm not going to release it as a DVD. I'm not going to release it as a laser disc. And we're like, stop putting Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars. This looks bad. Give me my original Star Wars.
Yeah, don't have Han Solo step over his tail. Like, that just hurts my feelings.
The worst CGI as well. I'm like, you guys have a bit of money, right?
Right. I want the guy with the bear jacket. The guy who was there originally.
Yeah.
I'd rather take him. I'll be okay. Like, you can change what they look like.
The Jim Henson Company just did a great job with Jabba the Hutt and everything, and I'm like, you pissed on his grave by doing that. Sorry, man.
I do think it's interesting though that I think it's a little bit of both, kind of going with your CC0. As the originator, I invented this character. Like, I take him wherever the heck I want to take him, and that I've determined canon. But then fan fiction and interpretations and things, you kind of forget all the bad stuff that Anakin has done, and then somehow he's a good guy and he's sad to us somehow. Like,
yeah, I have a problem with Anakin's story arc, like where it's like, he's fine, he's a good guy, and I'm like, okay, literally killed billions of people. Like, we gotta have a talk about this. It doesn't matter if he feels remorse afterwards. You're still a douche.
my son's a big Anakin guy, and every time we see younglings go down, this is a good guy. This is your hero. All right, so let's see. I appreciate you. We were 40 minutes in. Let me see if we got any questions. Hey, Prism, if you have any questions, there's 5 live viewers right now, and then we'll have more as the week goes by. But anybody have any questions? So I'm fascinated with your world. Like it's so I can add some more street cred. There's a guy in Austin named Steve Jackson.
Okay.
I used to work for Steve. He did this whole role-playing world. I don't know if you've heard of GURPS before. It was like a D&D.
I know who Steve Jackson is. I worked for
yeah.
TSR before it was WotC.
Let's go.
Come on.
So just the fortitude, the intestinal fortitude of these kind of creators, and just kind of their focus and their dreaming. And I had, this is in my youth. This was, I think, right after he got all of his computers returned from the FBI. Sitting in his office, and the guy's just on a different plane of existence. Just the creativity and his mind and where he wants to go, and the business is kind of a byproduct of this exploration. So I'm fascinated with your world. Like the business is a byproduct of you, getting artists together and working through the product you want to build. Like it's amazing.
It's fun for sure.
Okay. I think we got, I don't know if something's broke, but all good. We'll wrap it up if you don't mind, Adam, if you've got a pleasure. I think, I know you don't do social media other than your Twitter account, but a pleasure to meet you. And I'd like to, if you ever step foot in Austin, I'll pick you up at the airport and I'll show you proper barbecue, not tourist barbecue. Like,
thank you.
Keep you
I was in Texas recently, not Austin, one of the bad places.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the further you go out, the more it's just ridiculous. Yeah,
I have one of my best friends is a Texan, and when I told him where I was going, he's like, "Yeah, that's not Texas." He's like, "And by the way, don't go out after 8 p.m."
It's there's crazy people in my beautiful state, but they're my crazy people. It's just kind of like they're I'm gonna have to clip this part so I can eat barbecue again.
But yeah, any questions you have like down the road, or you want to talk more about Darkblock? I genuinely think that it's something that is important when Prism talks about his mechanic of showing a couple of pages and everything like that. That's literally what Google did with all the books on the planet. So they're actually he's well within his legal rights to show a few pages of every single book that he wants to. He doesn't have to worry about that. It's about 20%, just to let you know, before you get into copyright trouble. But
he's doing like original creations, like these.
I'm like, you could do that with Harry Potter. You're allowed to do that with Harry Potter right now. Like you can do that with whatever you want. It is 20% of a publication. Is kind of the limit. That's why you have people doing YouTube movie clips and they don't get taken down because they're less than 20% of the movie. So that's the hard and fast legal rule there. But it was largely created because of Google. Google basically said, hey, we want to scan every single book in existence and we want to put it in our database so that people can search it. So it was a big legal thing, but ultimately Google won and they said, yeah, like you own the books, you're allowed to scan the books. You're not giving them away. You're not, impacting people's abilities. You did it and you owned it. So you get to do it. So I can see like a lot of applications, not just in originally created projects, but in all sorts of other things as well.
Interesting. Now I'm going to hear from Prism later on. It's like, that's incredible. All right, sir, I greatly appreciate your time. We're here. We think the Darkblock has some legs with that kind of adding content to an NFT. An NFT is a monkey in a smart contract.
Yep.
Like that's not enough for me. I want content.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I think there's thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. I will talk to you later. Hey, everybody. We'll see you on next week.
Absolutely.